All right, welcome to all our UCR alumni that are on our call today. My name is Louise Jackson. I'm the Director of Alumni Career Services here at UC Riverside's Alumni Association. And I'd like to warmly welcome Shaheem Shapiro with us today. Shaheem is an expert in LinkedIn. He is a career services expert as well as a UC Riverside alum. I would encourage you to take a look at our website, alumni.ucr.edu/career services. If you're interested in any of Chaim's expertise, please take a look at his bio on our website. He's a preferred partner with us here at the UC Riverside Alumni Association. I would also encourage you for today's session to make sure that you ask questions in the Q&A feature that's at the bottom of your screen via Zoom. Make sure that you get those questions in quickly. We have 45 minutes and we really want to make sure that your questions are answered. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Chaim. He's going to really tell us all about how you can use LinkedIn, really maximize the effectiveness of LinkedIn for your career. So Chaim, why don't you take it away for us?
Well, thank you so much for the introduction. It's always great to be back at UCR, even though I'm not there physically. Really, the focus today is going to be on your LinkedIn profile. There seems to be this misconception that some people have that once they have a LinkedIn profile, all sorts of magic is suddenly going to happen. Having a LinkedIn profile is just the first step. What you really need to have is a winning LinkedIn profile that really presents your message in a way that people can see it and make sure that people understand who you are, what differentiates you, and what makes you stand out. So the real focus for the next 45 minutes is going to go through the LinkedIn profile, what you can do to make sure that your specific LinkedIn profile makes you stand out to potential employers or for consulting opportunities. We're also going to discuss things like the open candidate feature on LinkedIn. And if we have time at the end, we'll try to round it out with the skills and the recommendations. Now, I do this as a live demo as opposed to using PowerPoint or something like that because I really want to show the functionality of how you use each particular part of LinkedIn. And because I do it that way, I think it's very important for people to ask questions throughout. So if you use the Q&A, we'll have time for final questions at the end. But if I'm doing something and it doesn't make sense, you want to find out a little bit more about it, please, use the Q&A, ask the questions. Usually every 3 to 5 minutes, I will stop to take a couple of questions just to make sure I'm able to demonstrate and you understand specifically how to use the particular functionality that we're talking about. Now, what we're looking at here is my LinkedIn homepage. LinkedIn homepage is where you go if you click the blue in button up here at the top. But what we're going to go for the editing portion of what we're doing today is right over here at the little me button where your picture is. You click on that and you click on view profile, that is going to automatically take you into the edit mode of your account. I once had a client that actually was very, very worried because he clicked on this and thought that meant that anybody could edit the account if they clicked on this profile. The only person who has the ability to edit your account on this page is the person who signed in. So this is only for you, and this is your opportunity to go through your personal account and make sure you maximize your profile in a way that makes it a winning profile. Now, the first place to start are with what I call the LinkedIn triumvirate, the 3 most important parts of LinkedIn. What are those 3 things? Your profile picture, your name, and what's right here, which is called your LinkedIn headline. The editing mode for all 3 of those things will be right here on this little pencil over here. Now, the reason these things are so important, wherever you show up on LinkedIn, whether it's emails or searches or anywhere else, your name, your picture, and your LinkedIn headline will show up with you, which means these are the most valuable parts of your LinkedIn profile because, again, if people see you and they don't have any reason necessarily to want to engage with you, you haven't gained anything. The goal on LinkedIn is not only to have a great LinkedIn profile that sits fallow without anybody using it, but people say, oh my gosh, Chaim Shapiro, I need to connect with him or contact him because he has the ability to offer certain things that are of value to me. So let's start here with the first thing, which is the picture. The picture is right here. The edit mode on the picture is this little pencil. So if I click this, you can see right here, gives me the opportunity to drag, reposition, zoom, straighten, do all sorts of really great things with my photo to get it exactly the way that I want. It's important to note that LinkedIn switched from a square photo to a circle photo about a year ago. So you're going to be using the circle photo going forward. Another important thing to realize is that what you wear in your photo is really going to be dependent on what kind of job you're looking for. So if you're looking for jobs in sort of, the old Fortune 500 companies, the JP Morgan Chase, suit, tie, that kind of thing is generally the standard. If you're looking for something along the lines of a startup like a Google or a Twitter or a LinkedIn, generally you want to wear the kind of clothing you would wear for a networking event at those particular kinds of locations. So if you're going to Twitter For a networking event, you'd probably be wearing a t-shirt that said Twitter on it. That's probably what you want to be wearing in the photo on your LinkedIn profile. And again, you have the ability to edit and change and move. And then when you click apply, that's going to when your photo is going to be set the way that it is. And you always have the ability to change that as well. Second part. Now, this might seem obvious, but first name, last name, I see a lot of people make a lot of mistakes with their names because they try to add other information in there. This has happened a lot since Twitter changed their display names and allowed a whole bunch of advertising after it. Just go with your first name, last name. Don't put your degree. Don't put your email address in there, because LinkedIn has taken away some of the search capabilities that existed before, including keyword searches. If you don't have your name, first name, last name, and you could add a former name for a maiden name or something along those lines, it's going to skew the results, and people looking for you potentially will not find you. So you do want to keep that pretty standardized to your first name, last name, and to include any former name if you can. Now, this right here, I think, is the most valuable real estate in all of LinkedIn. This is your LinkedIn headline. This is your 130 characters where you're able to tell somebody, okay, I see you, I see your name, I see your picture. What is it about you that makes you the kind of person I want to engage with? What do you bring to the table? Now, I'm sure in career services, people always talk about an elevator pitch, which is the speech you would give on the elevator if you were in the elevator with Bill Gates. To me, this headline is your LinkedIn elevator pitch. You need to say something that stands out and says, this is who I am, and this is why you need to pay attention to me. Now, it's important to note this is going to be different for every particular person. And what you never want to do is have the standard student at UCR or director at Touro College. That's the default that LinkedIn gives you. But you can do so much more with this. Tell me who you are and what your skills are. Now, you see, for me, I work in higher education, so I focus on that. And because I'm selling myself as a LinkedIn consultant, I focus on that. When it comes to students or alumni, you want to focus on the skills that you can bring that make you the kind of person somebody would want to hire, or somebody at least want to find out more about if they were looking to hire somebody in that particular field or your particular profession. I'll pause now for any questions about what I call the LinkedIn triumvirate, which are, again, you know, your picture, your name, and your headline. And I guess you can tell me if there's any questions.
Doesn't look like it, Chaim. We can just keep moving.
Okay, great. So another thing that I think that people aren't doing effectively enough is utilizing this background image. Now you see here, if I go back to my main page, in the background, there's an image that I believe really helps promote my brand. Again, as I've mentioned, one of the parts of my brand is that I'm trying to sell myself as a person who's able to give excellent LinkedIn workshops. So what do I use to reinforce that message? A picture of myself giving a LinkedIn workshop with a bunch of people that look very, very interested in that particular presentation. The default on LinkedIn is a blue screen, and I don't think you're helping yourself if you use that blue screen as opposed to not using something personalized. So you can actually go in here, and the edit mode for that is this little button here. You can upload your own picture if you have any picture that's relevant to your particular brand. But I've talked, for example, to accounting students who put, QuickBooks pictures in there. I was just talking to somebody who does IT, computer tech security, who had a bunch of ones and zeros against the skyline of New York where he works, which I thought was a very great background image. The idea is for this image to really reinforce your brand. And when somebody sees it, they say, you know something? I understand that this person focuses on this. This is his or her area of expertise. And I know that because the position helps in terms of presenting that same image and reinforcing that particular brand that the person has. Now, an important thing to mention about the LinkedIn profile, you see here, my picture here is centered, and this is also centered. LinkedIn is in the process of changing this. So in about 2 to 3 months, just about everybody's going to be moved over to the new system. The picture is going to be on the far left side over here, as will this part of your profile over on the left. The reason that's important is because if your pictures move over, you want to make sure that this part that's blocking here is not blocking something very important in your picture over here when you do move it. The background image is going to have the same kind of abilities and the same size. So you just want to make sure that your account is optimized. When it does move over, you're not blocking something important in your picture, something to keep under consideration. Now, another thing that I wanted to show you, and this is also a change that LinkedIn is going to be adding. You see here how I have, it's called my LinkedIn summary. LinkedIn changed this about a year ago, and they sort of lock you into a very short bit of a summary here. It's about 230, 240 characters, and it can even get cut off in the middle. Now, if I click show more here, you'll see more information that I have here. one of the great changes that's coming in LinkedIn is they're going to make this more robust again. You'll be able to include a lot more content here, and inclusive in that content will be this rich media content here at the bottom. I'm going to talk a little bit more about more later, but it's an opportunity to help sell yourself and your brand even more than you were able to do with the small kind of summary that they were giving you. So this is going to be changing, and you're going to be able to include more information in that in the summary coming up. Probably, again, you transferred over sometime over the next 2, 3, 4 months. So to show you where the edit mode for that is currently, if you click on that pencil again and you scroll down here to your summary, this is where you're able to actually add that information, and it gives you a significant amount of area and time to give you, or space rather, to put in your information there. Fill it in, and then when it does change over, you want to make sure that it looks nice and that you're actually using your information in order that makes particular sense for what you're trying to sell. And again, your particular personal brand. Any questions at that point?
Still no questions, but I will.
Well, I'm explaining everything perfectly. I love that.
I would encourage our alumni, for those of you who want further information about how you craft that brand, to take a look actually at our resume guide. It does address some of the issues that Chaim is getting to as it pertains to your LinkedIn pitch or your headline, as well as the content that you can put in your summary section. So take a look at that resume guide on our website as well.
Okay, so I want to also show you, the next thing I want to show you is how to edit your public profile and URL, which is this little button over here to the right. Now, if I click on this, one of the first things you need to do on LinkedIn, if you haven't done this, is edit your personal URL. This is going to default to something like linkedin.com/in/ a bunch of the letters of your name and a bunch of numbers. What you want to do right away is click this edit button right over here and change that to your first name, last name. You don't need to add any spaces, punctuation, or capitalization for that. This makes it look much more professional, and I currently use this as a signature line in all of my emails because it's basically my name, and it lets people take a look at my LinkedIn profile if they want to. If not, there's no harm, no foul. If you have a more common name, Chaim Shapiro is not the most common name, so I was able to actually grab it, but you can put a dash, for example, between Chaim and Shapiro, or a dash after the O in Shapiro. Potentially, for example, if you have a master's in education like I do, you can put Chaim Shapiro MED. So the idea is to get as close to your name as possible. Now, once you get that, do not change it. You see here, I'm not editing it, because if I actually edit it, I'll potentially lose this URL, which I've been utilizing for years. So I don't want to actually edit it, but go in there right away and change it. And when you actually change it, click save. It will let you know if that actual particular, those letters are available. If not, try to get as close as you possibly can to those particular letters. So I'm going to click cancel here, because I do not want to change my LinkedIn URL. Now, I want to move down here. My profile is public, visibility is public. Here's a mistake I see a lot of people make. When it comes to your profile photo, that's the photo that I showed you at the beginning. I think it's very important to choose that your profile photo is available to all LinkedIn members and others who find you via search engines. I think people relate much more to a picture than they do sort of a blank screen. So if a person is looking up Chaim Shapiro on Google, if I had chosen only my connections or only LinkedIn members, and this person was looking at it from the outside, they'd see my name, but they would not see my picture. And I think it's important for people to see that picture so they can better relate to you. So they would just see this part over here without the picture. I think it is a much, much better way to help sell yourself, specifically by making sure that picture is public and that everybody can use it no matter where they're watching or looking at you from on LinkedIn. And also, by the way, you also see here what parts are actually included. If somebody was looking at my public profile from somewhere outside of LinkedIn, this is exactly what they would see. I've optimized this based on what I think sells me the best. So you look at the different things you can include and things you do not have to include over there. Hey, I'm going to go back here to where the regular edit part of the profile is. And I really like to get some questions if I can. We're already 15 minutes in and I haven't had any questions. So
we actually did have a question about your public profile URL. Could you redirect our alumni to exactly where the link is for that? I think that was
sure. So here you are again. You went into profile, just so we show you where you are. Well, actually, view profile is the best place to do it. And there's a button right here, edit public profile URL. If you click that button, it will take you to the page where you can actually edit it. Now, it is possible if you've never done this, it's going to say create your URL as opposed to edit, and that confuses some people, but that is just an opportunity to create it. And once you have it, again, I just copy that. That's a signature line in all of my emails, because if somebody's interested in following up and checking my LinkedIn profile, they can. If not, no harm, no foul. So does that make sense?
I
Okay,
think
great.
you addressed that question. We actually had another one, and
Sure.
while we're here, so somebody's asking a little bit more about the headlines. They've noticed that certain people use the vertical pipe feature or maybe a star feature. Do you recommend that versus something that addresses your professional identity as you have educational professional with some kind of pitch? What's your recommendation there in terms of the headline?
Well, I think when it comes to the headline, you really need to know what your brand is and what you're selling. You know, you can actually change this depending on what you're selling. You see here that I actually use the stars to differentiate different ideas. I saw a student that set up something about an emergency professional, a particular area, pursuing, social justice and things like that, which I thought was perfect for her. So it really depends on what you're trying to sell. I've seen mortgage consultants or people selling mortgages writing that they're able to provide and fund your mortgages and quicker than anybody else. And if that's what their sell is, that makes a lot of sense. They're not looking for jobs; they're looking to sell a particular product. So if you're looking for a job as opposed to be looking for example, to sell yourself as a professional, I think it makes a lot more, or a consultant makes a lot more sense to focus on things that tell people, oh, this is a person who brings particular skills that'll be of value in that particular professional arena.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And, as it relates to the professional summary, one of our other alumni asked if it makes sense to keep that short, or to really try and maximize using all of the spaces allowed for that
That's
pitch.
a great question. What I personally think is if you have stuff to include that's actually valuable and top notch, 100% do it. If you have an elevator pitch that's 15 seconds versus an elevator pitch that's 45 seconds, if the 45-second elevator pitch is all top quality, 100% go with it. But don't try to use filler words just to try and fill up the space. So if you have some great stuff to say it. If not, just focus on the stuff that really sells you in the best possible way. Don't worry about filling out the rest of the wording because it doesn't look like you're missing anything because it's not like there's empty space after it. It's not like the summary where they change things but it looks like something is missing. It actually is going to look okay. And if you have great content, utilize all of it. If you don't have great content, just utilize to whatever extent you'll be able to utilize that content and really focus on it. Okay. Other questions, or we're good for now? Okay.
We have 2 more questions. I'm not sure.
Sure.
Actually already addressed or started to address this, and it's related to some of the privacy features that you were just looking at underneath the public profile URL. One of our alumni is asking what your recommendation is in terms of certain pages being visible or not, and as it relates to that, someone else asked a little bit about what your recommendation is about having your full name be public and what your thoughts are there.
Okay, so this specifically what we're talking about here is what shows up on the actual page that somebody is viewing me, let's say on Google, as opposed to viewing me on LinkedIn. So what I include here is I don't have my past experience there because I don't think that's my selling point, but I do include my headline, my websites, posts and activities and all those things. So you get the opportunity to choose what sells you the best. One of the philosophies I think in anytime you're dealing with anything online is the further down somebody has to move on a web page, the less likely they are to see it. So you really want to make sure you're including your best stuff first. And if there are things that are better, you want to include it towards the top. So if there are things here that would not help you, you don't want to include those things. Now, there's a separate group of privacy settings that you can actually get to over, let's see, where is it? It's over here, settings and privacy, which is what I teach one of my advanced classes. Emails and other things, which might be what the person's addressing, which is, I think, beyond the purview. They can contact me afterwards. I'll be happy to walk them through that. But when it comes to actually utilizing your name, I tend to believe you want to use your name on LinkedIn because this is sort of the point of the social media, especially when you're presenting yourself. What is the point of having Chaim S if nobody's going to be able to figure out the name of Shapiro? The point to me is to utilize your name because you're presenting yourself as your online resume. Now, are there people who potentially can steal information and will start bothering you and sending you emails? That's a potential and possibility no matter where you are nowadays. But I think if you're going to be utilizing social media effectively, you want to make it as easy as possible for people to find you, contact you, and know who you are. So I'm going to sneak back in over here because I want to show you some things about your contact and personal information. Now, you see here, that's over here right now. Next time or within the next couple of months, they're going to move that to the right side under your profile. So this part over here is going to be on the left. This stuff in here, which I'm going to show you in a minute, is going to be on the right, which I think is a great change for LinkedIn because it makes you much easier to find. Now, just to show you what I have here, my LinkedIn profile, website, my phone number, and my email address. The edit mode for that is right over here. If I click on this, that'll give me the opportunity, for example, to include my web address. Now, here's a little LinkedIn trick that a lot of people don't know. If I were to add a website here, let's just try one, and I just put in the words personal, or I have a particular portfolio, you see here, it doesn't give me an extra box down here to write anything. You see I have book LinkedIn workshops here. The only opportunity to actually describe what your website does and where you're taking them is if you click the word other. Now watch this. It just gave me this open box here to describe what it is that I'm doing. So when somebody actually sees my LinkedIn profile and they know chaimshapiro.com, will take them to a website where they can book LinkedIn workshops. Again, that's particularly what I'm selling. But it only actually works when you click that other button. Any of the other ones will take away that particular line, and you won't be able to utilize that. So I do recommend, if you have your website up there, be descriptive. Let people know exactly where they're going, what they're going to get when they're there. Now, I do include my cell phone. This might be one of the privacy issues that was somebody hinted at before. I do get spam phone calls, but you know what? I get spam phone calls anyway. So I'd rather get spam phone calls. Generally, at this point, I don't answer my phone unless I recognize the number and I wasn't go to voicemail and check it. But I'd rather get 5 spam calls than miss the one call that could potentially lead to an incredible opportunity for me. So that's a personal preference issue, but I do think it makes a lot of sense. Now, I do think keeping your email address available is important. Pretty much anybody can find your email through a bunch of different add-ins and plugins and whatnot nowadays. So I do advise people to keep their email address public. One of the problems is if somebody finds you on LinkedIn and they want to contact you and they don't have a premium account, if you're not connected, they can't send you a message unless they pay $10. And if I have 3 potential clients that I'm looking to hire somebody potentially, I'm going with the person I don't have to pay $10 to reach. So make it easy for them to find your email, which is what I do. You also see here, and this is very important, it's a little hard to see here, I also have my Twitter account listed specifically and connected and synced to my LinkedIn account. I think this is very important. If you have time at the end, we'll discuss that. I think a multimodal strategy for networking really works, where you combine the powers of LinkedIn and Twitter. LinkedIn is a great identification tool for you to find potential people that you might want to contact with and to represent yourself. It's not the best engagement tool on social media. Twitter is a much better engagement tool, because then if I go on Twitter, for example, I could talk to all the people that were watching Cobra Kai with me over the weekend and talk about what I was thinking about the new Karate Kid reboot. And that's an opportunity to engage somebody without asking them for anything. And once I build those relationships, I could ask them, for a meeting, for coffee or something, to do whatever my particular sell is. You also see here I include my birthday. The reason I do this, because this is one of the few engagement opportunities that really does exist on LinkedIn. If it's somebody's birthday, people get a notification it's your birthday. They can send you a message. I do not include the year in my birthday, because that a lot of times people utilize that. They shouldn't. They utilize that as a password reset question. So you want to try to keep away from that, because you don't want to make that kind of information public. Any questions about this information here in your contact and personal info? Again, this is going to be right over here now, coming up over the next couple months, a little bit easier to access and a little bit easier to edit going forward. So if there are any questions on that, I'll take those now.
No, I just wanted to mention, Chaim, for our alumni who may want to make that connection to Twitter, and I know this is something you would probably reiterate as well, is making sure then that Twitter handle is also a professional platform versus personal, just in terms of, negotiating that professional personal divide and making sure that what your employers are seeing is professional when they're doing that recruiting.
Just to show you here really quickly, I didn't plan on this come up before. You see I have the same picture, same background image, and the exact same headline on my Twitter profile. Now here's where I use the ability to use the longer display name, which I wouldn't recommend on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, but the rest of this is exactly the same, and I actually linked to my LinkedIn profile right here so people can see that. 100%. You have to be 100. You have to keep everything on social media needs to be professional, and I think it's important to make sure that if you're reaching out to people for business purposes, that your Twitter account is also professional, just like your LinkedIn account is. Okay, just want to move further down here. And this is an interesting addition to LinkedIn about 2 years ago. It's called Career Interests or Open Candidate. This is really great for people, for example, if you're in graduate school or you're still an undergraduate or you're working in a part-time job. And the problem is when you look at someone's employment record, it says they're currently working somewhere, but that might not be what they want to be. They want to go somewhere else or open to other opportunities. There was no way up until this point, about 2 years ago, to actually signify or signal to potential employers that you're actually open to opportunities. And that's what the career interest does. If you put this on, and I'm going to click on this right now, it allows you to set this profile over here to on to let people know who have premium accounts. So these are people who actually have recruiter accounts. They let them know that you're actually open to new opportunities, even though it says you're currently employed in a particular place. Now, LinkedIn claims, you see here, they take steps to protect so the people from your company do not see that you're looking for a job. So in other words, somebody who's coming from a Turo, and Turo is listed under their employment, would not be able to see that I'm an open candidate. But just like anything else on the internet, anything you publish potentially is a public record. And for example, if Turo hired an outside consultant that was looking for people, they could access and see the fact that I'm open as an open candidate. So if you're really worried about it, you have to be careful because there's no guarantees, but LinkedIn does try as best they can to make sure that people don't see that. Now, you can put a note to recruiters here. This could be a brief note kind of thing you put on the top of a cover letter. Keep it beyond the generics, not to whom it may concern, but just like who you are and what skills you bring to the table. You also want to set where you are in your search. Now, I'm actually not looking, so I'm very happy at Turo, but if somebody were to offer me $1 million a day, I'd probably be open to that kind of offer. But you can go in and change this. I'm actively applying. I'm casually looking. And that way people will actually know when they look at it, oh, this is a person who's really interested in moving. And when would you like to move? Well, again, as soon as possible, 1 to 3 months, or as my particular case, if the $1 million a day comes, that's when I'm looking to move it. You can also include a list of the job titles you're considering. These are things all related to what my particular expertise is and the area, because I'm locked into the New York area. And you see here, I'm looking for full-time opportunities, and the industries are listed down here. And again, you can change all those things. For some odd reason, LinkedIn every 6 months goes out and erases whatever you have here. So if you wrote something really nice here, just save it somewhere else because it disappears, and it can be very frustrating to try and recreate it. And make sure you know what you have written here. I don't know why LinkedIn does that. I think it's a flaw in the system. But this is an important way to let people know, especially people who have the recruiter platform, that you are open to other opportunities. Any questions on that?
It doesn't look like we have any other questions.
Great. So I'm going to move a little bit further down here. And just to show you something that's very important, and I talk about this in my advanced class, but your activity on LinkedIn excuse me, is much more important than it's ever been because it's really highlighted very high in your profile. Now, this is an article that I wrote, which is a separate topic of discussion. But you see here, the last 3 things that I did on LinkedIn are all featured on my profile. People look at this. You want to make sure the things you're doing are all on your brand. So here are things, well, here's something about the event today. Here's something I posted about a change to LinkedIn messages that I thought was very good, and an article that I wrote. It's important to keep all this stuff on brand. You can post it yourself. You can like other people's comments. You can comment in groups. That will all show up here. If you do not have an article, it will show 6. And there's another 3 here as opposed to just the 3. One of the problems I think a lot of people run into when it comes to their LinkedIn accounts is they have what I call stagnant accounts. There's no activity. So if somebody sees it from the outside, they have no idea if you've logged in the last month, month and a half. And you don't want to have a stagnant profile. So you want to be involved in activity. I would say 1, 2, 3 times a week. Just to show you, by the way, really, really quickly, this is where you can post status updates. That would be included in that. But you'd also follow other people's posts. If I wanted to like something from KPMG or actually comment on it, I would do that there. And that would show up eventually under where I had that under my, my activities over there. So it's very important to be involved in activities. Okay, next thing we're going to focus on here is your work experience. So if you had jobs, generally what you want to do is put your work experience down over here. Now, confusing thing, because you see up over here, it gives you the opportunity, where we talked about before, to put in your current position. That's not the place to do it because it confuses people, and it's not really a great, or it's not as easy to manipulate. It's not as easy to use. This is the place to do that. So you could add another job here by pushing this button over here. This is the edit mode for your current positions or past positions. So just to show you a couple of things here. Very, very important. This is going to be true for your college experience as well. You see how this has the Turo logo on it right here? You want to make sure that this auto-fills. You see what just happened? I started typing out and I did an autofill, and this little logo disappeared from there. What you want to do is make sure to utilize that suggested autofill, because that will make sure that it actually syncs to the logo of your particular company. Again, just to show you, if I click a couple letters away of that, that's completely gone until I go back into it and click that again. That's important because if people are looking for employees of a particular company, you want to make sure you actually have that logo. It gives more credibility to it. Plus, it helps you in terms of how people are looking for you in searches. Just to click back on here, you'll see my Churro logo is back, and that's the way you definitely want to keep it. Now, in terms of what I actually have here, this is right off of my resume. And LinkedIn doesn't work well, particularly. They don't have a particular feature for bullets. I just put the bullets in there, even though it doesn't look perfect, because I think it helps things stand out a little bit more. But same kind of stuff you would put in your resume are the kinds of things I would put in there. Now, one of the things that I think is important that LinkedIn allows you to do that resumes do not is the ability to add what's called rich media content. Now, I can upload a presentation. Like this is a presentation I gave at a conference last year. Or as I said before, I like to tell people that I'm pretty good at giving LinkedIn webinars and workshops. Instead of just saying that, I actually have a video here that somebody can click on my profile and see me in action giving a LinkedIn workshop. So I think for people that are trying to present themselves, if you gave a presentation, if you gave a PowerPoint presentation, if you ever did, a video interview, something like that, or all the kinds of things you can upload either by clicking the upload button. I'm not going to push that because I'll take you to my personal files here on my personal computer. Or a link, you could add the link to a Vimeo video, to a YouTube video, potentially to SlideShare, which is owned by LinkedIn, which is a great place to host a bunch of your documents as well. So I definitely recommend that you do that and add that rich media content that really helps present who you are and your brand and makes you stand out. Now, I mentioned earlier, just a little while ago, that up over here, you'll see here at the bottom of this is my summary again. I have a couple of these rich media content. One of the great changes that's coming within the next couple of months is LinkedIn is going to once again feature these towards the top of your summary. Because right now, unless somebody pushes this show more button, they do not see my rich media content. And as soon as you transfer over, they're going to be able to see, I think, up to 5 of your rich media content right there on your summary statement, which is a great way to help you present your brand and make sure you're sharing the kind of thing that really presents who you are in a positive way. I think this is a great change to LinkedIn, and you really try to start looking for the kind of content that would make sense. And let me see if I still have this here, because some people, there we go. So you see here, one of the things I recommend people do potentially is put their resume and upload it to SlideShare, and then use that link, that URL link, so they can upload that into rich media content. So why do you do that? Because you see here, this looks like a resume. It says resume. And if somebody's looking at my profile and they say, you know something, that Chaim Shapiro seems like a pretty good guy. I want to find out more and send this to my boss, and my boss is not a LinkedIn person. This way they can actually download my resume directly onto their desktop and then send that to whomever they want as an actual document file. So I think it's a powerful way to help present yourself if you don't have any other rich media content, or even if you want to make sure that they can share the information that you have in your LinkedIn profile. And then again, this is just a standard copy of my resume. With one change, I don't include my personal address on this particular resume because I don't want people showing up at my house. But that can go in your summary, or it could go into your work experience now, but it's a great way to utilize the rich media content so people can find out more about you and so share that information with other people. Other questions about that?
Chaim, yes, we had a question a little bit about the SlideShare feature and how you go about, for example, including your resume and making sure that it can be included as rich media.
So if you actually go to SlideShare, I think SlideShare is over here now. I might be wrong about that. But there's a SlideShare is actually owned by LinkedIn. I have to find out exactly where it is. But if you create a SlideShare account, everywhere or every document you upload on SlideShare, you can create a URL for SlideShare. And that URL for SlideShare is what you would put under the upload part that we had when we were under the edit mode. So I go back here to the edit mode, and I get that particular URL from SlideShare. Whoops, sorry about that. I get that URL from SlideShare and put it under link. That will create this. I'm pretty sure I had this set up as a SlideShare. So just see, I'm in the edit mode now, but this is something that I actually put as a link, and that's actually put it there on my account. So if I go out of edit mode, you might be able to see it a little bit better. Let's try it this way. There we go. So it actually shows the actual presentation. This was actually uploaded to SlideShare, and because it was uploaded to SlideShare, people are actually able to, directly connect with it and engage with it on my profile in the rich media content. And all I did was share the URL that was created when I uploaded it to my personal SlideShare account. And the other great thing is, sometimes when people go into your SlideShare, they see some of your other stuff that you haven't included in that particular part of your profile. Okay, other questions?
We actually did have one more question about the
Sure.
resume functionality. Somebody is asking about the platform called Scribed. I'm not sure if you're familiar with
sure.
if this would be useful there in terms of the resume post.
I think it can be. I don't know what it looks like in terms of what kind of preview it's going to create on your accounts. I haven't tried that. The reason I use SlideShare is because LinkedIn owns SlideShare, so they make sure that it works very well together. If you can upload a scribed URL and it actually shows the preview, go for it. But if it doesn't work, you might want to use SlideShare just because LinkedIn owns it. It really work. They play it together nicely in the sandbox. So it might be the best idea just to make the slide, and it's free, so there's no reason not to do it. But you could try it and see if it works. Again, the videos I have here are hosted either on Vimeo or YouTube, and they're very easy to upload. And again, it shows the preview the same way it would. I don't know if that particular website does. Now, I want to get here into your education section. You see here, again, very, very important to make sure that I've synced this with UCR and make sure I have that UCR logo up there. Because if people are looking for UCR graduates or people are looking for alumni of their institution, if you didn't do that autofill, let's try that again here. See that disappeared off of there. If I don't have that, I might not show up in searches people are doing for the great alumni of UC Riverside. So you want to make sure that is synced and that's autofilled so that you actually have that information there. Now, you can include other things here, activities, societies. I was part of a student government. I was part of this, part of that. You can actually see here that Northeastern Illinois and Chicago, that I was involved in student government, and I've included that information there. But again, I've included that particular link to the actual institution so people can actually connect to it and find me if they're looking for graduates or alumni of those institutions. I want to show you very briefly. Now, this isn't really main focus, but click on UCR here because there's a great alumni feature that people aren't utilizing. And you'll see here, let's see, features, let's see what happened here. Somehow got me clocked into the wrong place here. But generally what happens when you do that, and I'm going to try it with one of the UCR one more time here. What it should do is get you into the UCR page, because I'm probably in the search feature, that's probably why. Okay, we have to clear all the filters. Actually clear. But what it does is, I'm going to do it this way, University of California, Riverside, and we're going to look under more schools. It should be easier to do this. It usually doesn't take that. I just had it set up on the wrong thing. Here we go. Now here's C Alumni. This gives you a searchable database of UCR alumni. So I'm looking for people, for example, who work at Amazon, who went to UCR. That's going to give me that information right here with their pictures and all that information. I can actually follow up with them. Not only that, I can actually see what they do, that they're working in human resources at Amazon. And again, resort, and I'll show you that information. So the reason that didn't work before is because I was doing some searches before, so it wasn't into the search for schools. It was a search for people. But if you do the search for schools, University of California, Riverside, it should take you to this page, then see alumni. So if I do this again, it should work. Let's just make sure that does. And I just want to get to the skills before we're done here. Let's just make sure this works now. There we go. So that time it worked because I just had I didn't unset the settings when I was doing some searches before. So if you just click on that by your name, it will take you to the alumni feature unless you have it set up in a different way. Now, getting back here to my profile, the other thing I want to show you is the skills section. I think skills are very important because you get to include skills up to 50 of them on your profile. And right here, I mean, you could actually add a new skill, and it has a great autofill feature. So if I'm working in accounting, and I want to start putting in accounting, you see here, financial accounting and other things that are relevant to that particular skill. And all I would have to do is add that to my profile and would add those skills to my actual list of skills. Don't worry about endorsements right now, but it's something I want to show you because there's a change to LinkedIn in terms of how endorsements and skills and endorsements are shown. So one of the things that I think is important when it comes to LinkedIn is making sure that, let's see, this completely changes on me. Oh, that's interesting. That's not how it was before. Actually, I looked at this a couple hours ago. It wasn't like that. But all right, so just to show you, over here, LinkedIn is actually giving you an order for how these show up. You can actually plug or tag 3 of these. And if anyone that you push the button for will end up in the top 3, and that's what's going to show up on the front part of your page here. The front part of your page are all going to be the 3 that you push that little pin button on, and you want to make sure that you're utilizing ones that actually represent your brand the best, because the chances of somebody clicking on and checking on more and looking at the rest of your skills is very, very little, because again, generally people are only going to focus on the skills that they're going to see on that main page. So you want to make sure that you choose your top 3 skills there. And let's see if it corrected itself from where it was before. Okay, I went away from one. I actually had an endorsement here from somebody who was a top tier LinkedIn person. I don't know why I disappeared on this now, but just to show you one of the changes here, they don't allow you to move things around as much as you used to be able to. For example, they have career counseling here under interpersonal skills. If I want to move this under job skills, it doesn't allow me to do it because it sort of kicks it back to career counseling. Real issue is try to come up with skills that are relevant to you. Make sure that your top 3 skills are the ones you put up at the top, and then that way you can make sure people notice them. But again, these are highly searchable. So if somebody specifically is looking for a person who went to UC Riverside who majored in education, who has public speaking skills, that's something potentially that they can find on Google and other places. And having that skill there can help you in terms of making sure that they find you. I'll have to figure out what happened to my skills and endorsements later. Any questions?
We have nothing right now. So if you have a couple more things you wanted to mention, Chaim.
Yeah, I do. So I wanted to mention something here about recommendations, because I think it's important to have recommendations on your accounts. I personally believe there's no set number for this, but generally the philosophy is once you get up to 3 recommendations that people gave you, that's where you get into a different area where I think you show up higher in the search rankings when people are actually doing searches for you. So you could ask to be recommended from a particular person, and here you'd be able to fill in the name. If I put in, let's see, one of these, I could actually send them a request. Now, the person who sends these has to be a first reconnection of yours, and they can actually write a more detailed kind of understanding of who you are and what you've actually done for them. Just so you know, and people confuse this sometimes, nobody can actually write a recommendation for your account unless you actually approve it. So they can't post it to your account unless you agree to let them post it. Well, you see here, I have one pending recommendation. Let me show you why I did that. Here's a person, perfect liars for free, who tried to sort of spam me and come up with something here that I thought would be funny if it showed up on my account that I got, spammed and scammed by somebody who obviously doesn't have my best interest at heart. You can see here, I could add this to my profile, which I will never do. I could ask the person for revision, which in this case I will not do because they're not interested, or I could simply dismiss it. I keep it on my profile specifically because I want to use that as an example to show people when I'm actually going through the LinkedIn account that nobody can post that for you. Here's a better example. Here's a person who wrote something nice about me, but it misspelled my name. I didn't ask him to change it because I thought it was a minor little thing, but I could potentially ask him to make those kinds of changes before it's posted to my account. I know we have about a minute or 2 left, so there's a question or 2 that anybody has. I'd like to try and get to it.
We don't, but I actually did have one question, Chaim, and I think I mentioned it to you earlier as it pertains to the new career interests toggle feature on LinkedIn. If we have any of our alumni who have some concerns about privacy or about their current employers being able to find or see that information, what is your thought there on LinkedIn and whether that information is visible to current employers?
So LinkedIn does what it can. Again, they say that if somebody, for example, like I work at Turo, if somebody who has Turo as their employer is listed Turo as their employer, they will not be able to see the fact that I have an open candidate career interest account. Again, this is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. So it's possible somebody just didn't fill in Turo College appropriately, they didn't sync it. It's possible that Turo hired an outside consultant and they will see it. So it's always possible that if you have that career interest as open, that people will see it. LinkedIn does what it can to minimize that possibility. It's definitely a possibility. So if you're really concerned about it, you have to be very, very, very careful. But in general, my philosophy is whenever you have anything posted anywhere on social media, by definition, it's public record. And there's no hiding from that, no matter where it is, no matter how much you try to hide it. So if you're really, really concerned about it, then potentially it can be a problem. But LinkedIn does what it can to try and minimize that problem for you.
Great. And we have one last question. Somebody said, I've seen some of my connections listed as associations. How does that happen?
Association, I'm not sure what it means by associations.
Yeah, I'm also not familiar with that. Maybe think about
Uh,
oh,
Maybe followers potentially. Maybe it's meant followers as
potentially.
opposed to that, because people potentially can actually follow you without actually being connected to you. I don't see any particular real reason to do that. Usually on the homepage down over here, let's see if it does right now. You could particular follow particular people, but I think it's much better just to connect to them. I don't see any reason to follow a particular person, which just means that their information shows up in your feed, but you're not directly connected to them. I think it's much better to connect to them directly.
Okay. And I think we have one more question, and it's related to the premium feature of LinkedIn. Do you have any
There we
suggestions
go.
about whether premium is worth it when on the job search?
There we go. I was waiting for that question. The question I've gotten in all the 55 or so LinkedIn workshops that I've given. I think for standard users, in other words, if you're not a recruiter and you're just looking for a job, you're looking for other opportunities, you're looking for a side hustle or something like that, it does not pay to actually get that premium account. The actual benefit that it add is not worth the price tag. Now, if you're working in a college and you're trying to collect data, you're doing a lot of data mining, you're trying to recruit people, then it makes some sense. For the standard user, I recommend very strongly against wasting the money on that. You can get a free month. Just make sure to cancel it on time, because if you don't, they will charge your credit card for the full amount of the month of the year, depending on which subscription you set up for.
Great, thank you so much. And to address actually the question about associations, our alumni clarified and said that's as part of professional groups. So I think that's related to the group feature on LinkedIn.
On the group features, as you have people in the group feature that potentially that you can reach out to because they're part of the group, but they're not actually connected to you. Yeah, groups is a completely different ball game. If the person wants to contact me afterwards, I can walk them through it. I happen to think LinkedIn has done a great disservice to their groups over the last couple of years. They're not as valuable as they used to be. But it used to be what people would do is if you weren't connected to somebody, there were ways to message people just by being part of the same groups as them. So that might be what he or she was referring to.
Yes, that is true. And for those of our alumni on the call, there is a way, for example, if you're part of the UCR alumni group, you can message members that are in that group. We have over 8,000 alumni in that group. It's definitely a worthwhile feature. All right, I think we're going to tie everything up. Chaim, is there anything else you want to mention before I close off here?
No, just in general, the idea is, the idea with LinkedIn, there's no LinkedIn magic. So if you want to use LinkedIn, you need to use it effectively. Create that winning profile and make sure that you're presenting yourself and your brand in an effective way throughout your account. And like you mentioned before, if you have a Twitter account connected to it, make sure that's professional as well. It's just your professional persona, and the great thing about it is you control the message. So make sure the message is one that presents you as a person who has the abilities and the skills to do whatever it is your particular brand is trying to project yourself as being able to do.
Great. Thank you so much. Chaim, we just want to thank you on behalf of the Alumni Association for taking the time as a fellow alum to speak to our alumni. Really knowing that you're a LinkedIn expert means a lot to our alumni, and really value all of your expertise in sharing this with us. Please welcome me in extending that thank you to Chaim. I'd encourage you to take a look at our website again, alumni.ucr.edu/career services. Also, those of our alumni on this call, you will be getting a post-event email with a link to the recording, as well as a post-event survey. We'd love to hear from you as to what we can do to improve our services, make sure that we're continually relevant to you. I'd encourage you to join our next session, which is on June 12th, and we're going to have UCR alum Alan Rees join us, and he's actually working for LinkedIn, and he's going to be doing again another session on LinkedIn, but talking about some of the newer LinkedIn features, and that title is LinkedIn: A Deeper Dive. And without further ado, thank you so much, Chaim. It's been a real pleasure. We've really enjoyed our time having you speak to us about LinkedIn.
Thank you.
And thank you so much.